Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to see how we can use our own API in ChatGPT. So this feature is only for the premium versions, but this is a very cool features, and if you are creating a lot of APIs, you can create a app on their store as well for that API, and ChatGPT would be using it. So I would be going through the entire process of how we do this actually. So first go with the sample, what we have done. So this is my new app, NSW weather app. So I would give you the prompt over here, just like you have seen. I have already given the prompt. I will even giving the prompt, and it will ask me to allow the app. I allow it. Once I allow it, it's actually calling the API, api.weather.gov. Now, these APIs are being called in the backend actions, and I would be coming to this entire documentation, how I have processed, how I have learned things into this section. But before that, we also wanted to see another section, that is another weather app. So why I have done two weather app with two different APIs, I will be explaining that as well. Okay, so in this here you can see it's also asking for the action to be allowed, and it's calling a different API right now. Okay, so it's giving the information to me. Now let us go and see what's under the hood that is actually working, and you can create your own APIs and implement this. So that is the motto. The motto is not to use others APIs on ChatGPT. The motto is to create your own API, host it out, and then use that into the GPT. So I will be going through one of the process. So first, NWS weather API. So if I click on edit, you can go into this section by my GPTs. Okay, and if you click on the edit, you can see this is a beautiful interface where you can see the NSW weather API and description I have given. I have put some information, instructions over here as well. Now the best and the most important part is to create an action. Okay, you can see the action has been created over here. If you click on this, you can see I'm calling the API. Okay, from here the api.weather.gov.in, and this entire JSON file and the another one is being, I will be putting onto the description as well, these files. Okay, so you can use them as a sample and you can run them on your GPTs as well. Okay, so as you can see, the first one is using a path parameter. It's not using a query parameter into this. So the API endpoint would be looking like something like this actually, in the section slash, and then like this part is coming into the place. And when you are talking about Washington DC, this latitude and longitude is being converted from the Washington DC's latitude and longitude, and then it being called through the API, and that is the part is done by the GPT itself. So I have given him a sample. So look into the parameters here. Okay, so the operation ID is something, the name of the API. So it's being called by this name actually. The parameter, the first one is the latitude, the second one is the longitude, and it is a path parameter. So it's coming with a path. It's not a query parameter actually. So there are two parameters type. One is a path parameter, one is a query parameter. So I would be coming to another weather app where it is a query parameter. That is why I have created two apps for two weather apps to view the difference between how it being called actually. The required is, so I have given a small description, I have given a string, I have given a example, and longitude it is the same. I have given everything over there. Now in the response part, if I'm going to go and give you a sample over here, the response part is like this. It's actually getting an application JSON response, the schema. And if you are using your own, suppose you have built a API on Laravel, and then you can use this data information, and you can still sending the information in application JSON format, then this will be working as well. Okay, now the type is the string, and the is example is the location, forecast, temperature. These are all parameters on the API side actually. And 400 and 500, so this is a status code of 200. If you have 400, if you have 500, what would happen? Okay, so this is the entire API call, but this is relatively very easy API call. This is not so critical or not so complicated to call out. But the next API is a little more tricky. On the weather app, if you click on edit, you can see there is a couple of things. If you go into the action, you can see this is my base URL. This is the URL after that. So 2.5 slash forecast. So the main URL will be looking like this. If you are using it like forecast, once that is forecast, then coming to this query parameter. So it is not path anymore, it is query right now. So query parameter is lat, the name is lat long exclude app ID. Now app ID is the API key that has been going, and the response is the same. So if you go into this section, this is the sample2 JSON file where you can see the app ID exclude long lat, and it's having a success. So success is the same way, it's returning the lat long time zone current temperature description. So you can give the properties as much as you are returning the things out. So if you are returning something like type, then you can add that on into the system, so it's also getting a type. And what would be the data type for this? It will be a string. What is the description? It will be looking like uh, uh, the API call, or something like 1 or 2 or 3, whatever the things are. That can be anything. Now the weather is in type array, and the items is coming in a type object. So I have described each and everything on this. And on 400, it's a bad request, invalid parameter. On 401, unauthorized, invalid API key. So these are the two things that you have to remember while using this. But this is not the tweak on this. If you go into this section, you can see on the top, you have put an API key, but it is not hidden. It is actually hidden, it cannot be seen. Okay, but still GPT does not work with this API key. I have tried a lot. Now I'm coming to a solution where it's actually working. Is I have given him a prompt, a small prompt. And obviously if you go into my action over here, you can see the operation ID is like the name of the things, and this is get because of it's actually getting a request with the get. It should be post if you are requesting with the post method. So if you go into this section, I am telling that use the app ID value with this value to return the weather forecast and getting things done. So this is what I have written, and from that angle they are being using this. But if you are just using this as a API key, I have put in this, but it's not working still. I have seen some of the videos, but none of this covers this JSON file actually. So another thing is that the most important thing is you get a sample over here. You also get a sample. If you go and create a new weather app or something like any app, you get a sample how it's actually calling things out. So you also has a sample. But as I have created two bigger samples for you, it would be very helpful for you to create your own things out, and for the query and for the path, both of them. But now coming to the documentation on the GPT action here, it's already very big and it has a lot of things. But the most important things onto this is the open API schema. This is the most important thing. So when you go through this documentation, if you go and find, suppose you finding like uh, yeah, parameters. If you go find parameters, you can see parameter objects are there. Schema, response, parameter object are there. So parameter object has a name. So if you value matches with me, parameter object has a name. It has an in type. In type can be query, header, path, cookies, description, description, required, schema. Schema, there is a schema style as well. Yeah, schema or the object. So schema object is something different. So you have to go to the documentation of the schema object as well. So by this way, I have constructed the whole Json object. I have come upon with a lot of videos on the action, but none of them covered how I can create my own Json file. And that is why what I have created, what I have come to a solution with. So people can use their app making APIs and creating new apps for the GPT. Thank you for watching this video. If you like my video, do subscribe to my channel and give a like to the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will be sharing all the information on the description. Thank you.